Hello there and welcome to my channel. My name is Dennis Herrera, and today I'm going to share with you how I became to be in the United States and how I became a United States citizen. You're watching the Dennis Herrera Show. Let's get into it. Today's show, I wanted to get started by sharing a little bit about myself. I know I'm going to be sharing more in the future, but for today, I want to say some stuff that happened in my country that forced us to be in the United States. And while I'm very grateful to be here, I have always missed my country of birth, Honduras. So it all started for me, or at least that I can start sharing with you, is my mother and my father. They, my mother married very young. She had a horse accident, and she didn't finish school. She had second grade education, and my father still loved her. And she grew up, obviously, and he fell in love with her, and they got married. Well, together they came to this town called Barrio Cabañas, which is one of the poorest, or in those times was one of the smallest small town per se, or colony. I know that word doesn't get used much here, but it's a very small town. And this is in San Pedro Sula, Honduras, of course. And they were the first ones there. Now, my mother and my father, they struggled a lot, right? Finding work and doing work. But my father got a break with this company called Caterpillar, which you will know today as CAT, CAT. And they are a construction company. They build roads, etc. And so in our town, I really got to find out what barrio is in the neighborhood. Let's just say neighborhood. In our neighborhood, my mother and my father were, I will say, rich, right, for the amount of money that they made. That my father made a lot of money, and my mother would have sacks of rice, beans, fruits. There was never any lacking of anything in our home. And so we were rich. We were one of the first people to have our first color TV, you know? And I come from a family of 5. My grandmother had 10 kids. My mother had 5. And is my oldest sister, my older brother, my second older brother, then my sister, and then me. I am the last one of the family. And I'm actually pretty proud of that, I guess, because as my mother used to tell me, I was my father's favorite. And she always told me that the house that we had eventually was going to be mine. And so I had that stuck in my head. Unfortunately, my father passed away when I was about almost 4 years old. And so I got very, very vague memories of what he looked like. And, I can tell you I was the happiest kid in the world every time my father came home, because he would go away for like days, sometimes weeks. And so, as a kid, I figure I missed him a lot, right? But I remember jumping into his arms and him picking me up with one arm. It was this tall guy. Of course, I was so little, so he seemed like a giant to me. But he was well respected, and so was my mother. We come from a family of good character. We had our struggles. My father struggled with, I guess, with alcohol, and then he quit. And I guess he was a better father to me than my elder siblings. But the problem is that when he died, being that my mother didn't have an education or any working skill, she had to find a way to support us. And by the time that I hit 8 years old, my mother had already made plans to come to the United States, since my older sister was a bilingual secretary and got a chance to come to the United States. So then they came and got my mother. My mother came over here with 5 years without her. I would tell you more about those 5 years without her, how it changed my life. Not the prettiest story, but it was actually a sad story, but we'll talk about that some other time. But after 5 years that my mother came here to the States, she came back to Honduras, obviously to get me and my little sister. My little sister, she's 3 years older than me, so I guess big sister. But she came and got us. I was almost 14 years old by the time that we came here to the States. But we didn't just go to the United States Embassy and they said yes. We actually went there and they denied us. We were missing some stuff. And one of those things was we needed a health examination. We need a physical. We had to show that we can come to the United States and what our intentions were. And so we went back a second time. And then this time, I remember that we went in there for the interview, asked us some questions, obviously, mainly my mother. And they told us to come back in the afternoon. And when they tell you that, that means that you got a visa to come to the United States. So we were excited about it. But I was more excited about being with my mother. I did not want to leave Honduras. I was grown with trees around, with nature. And though I starved a lot in my country and, I had a lot of lacking, missing things and, all the kids had, I didn't have, grew up poor, etc. I just wanted to be with my mother, but I didn't want to come to the United States. I wanted to be with my mother, but I wanted to stay in Honduras. Honduras to me was the most beautiful place on earth, even though we were very poor. And so, my mother applied for us to have a green card. And after, I believe it was about a year, since we have submitted the paperwork, they called us and said we needed to come back to Honduras and we had one more interview to do. And this was really just to get our passports stamped with the green card or the residency stamp of the United States of America. So we went back to Honduras. I was already enrolled in school. And mind you, I didn't want to be in the United States. I just wanted to be with my mother. And so we went down there and I talked to the consul or the consulate, I think it's called. And I told him when he asked me, so what are you guys going to do? And I said, well, we got permission from our school because we're in school right now. And so they gave us 2 weeks. I got to go back to finish my school. And also I'm playing football, American football, which is something that I really wanted to do since I came to this country. And I'll tell you a story about that some other time, I'm sure. But they gave us our residency and we had permission to come here to the States. And well, I always thought that when I got old enough, I was going to come back to Honduras. That was the plan the whole time. And that was it. I even went back a few years later and I saw my sweetheart, which I thought was my sweetheart. I was not in love, but it was just a girl that I really liked. I went back and I made a promise that I was going to come back. Well, still a minor, 16 years old. And, I fell in love here in the States, never went back. And I was a resident holder for 20 something years. And then finally I decided to become an American citizen. Now, why do I start this podcast with the story of how I came to this country? Because number one, we didn't come here illegally. We were denied several times. But my mother worked hard and we kept trying and eventually we got permission. My mother did not want to bring us here illegally, and that was the main goal. So I'm proud of her for doing that. Now, while I was here, I've learned so much patriotism in Honduras for the land where I was born. And because that was the land that was providing for us, that was my patriotism belongs to the land. Now, because I was born there, it still belongs to the land because my heart is always going to be with Honduras. But now that I'm an American citizen, my loyalty belongs to America. And so I want to respect and I want to honor all the American citizens and the people of this great nation. I am very happy that Trump is our president. And it's not because he's a businessman. I think that's one reason why I like him. But because he cares about America. He wants to put America first. And that used to be the motto back in Honduras in the 80s. Honduras first, and I'll never forget that. But I see a lot of immigrants that come to this country illegally. And, you can judge me however you want to judge me. I don't want to to tattle on somebody for being here illegally. If they're good people, I really don't want to say anything. But if they were to be found that they were illegal in this country and they had to leave, well, you got to respect the law. And if you are here, you're working somehow you're working, do a good life for yourself. Don't don't uh, don't do things that you shouldn't be allowed to do. Like, for example, one of the biggest things is become a criminal. Don't drive drunk. Don't abuse your wife. Don't be violent. Love this nation. Respect this nation. Honor this nation. But most importantly, don't make children over here in the States knowing that at any given time you will be deported. Now, you're not only putting a burden on yourself, but you're putting that on your children, on your wife, and on this country. Because of people that make anchor babies over here and keep breaking the law, you're causing division amongst Americans. Because every American citizen has the right to say something, to defend their country. And there are some benefits that only American citizens should have. So if you're Hispanic, obviously you speak English because you're listening to me, respect the law. If you are here illegally, no, I don't care how you're working, how you're making your money, but if you are here illegally, you have been here for 2 weeks, a year, 5 years, 20, 40 years, and they get caught up with you and you get deported, don't hate this country. Go back where you came from. And the only advice that I would give you is that if you have been here in this country, self-deport, and hopefully, whatever time you had here, you worked, saved money, and did something back in your country of birth. Like build a house, maybe enough money to get a car so that you have an opportunity down in Honduras, Mexico, Guatemala, or whatever you came from. The bottom line is, if I would have never got a green card, it would have been an excuse for me to just go back to Honduras. And when I say an excuse is because if you have the opportunity, if you have the papers to be in this country, of course, the best thing to do is be the best resident you can be the best citizen that you can be. But don't kid yourself. Make sure that you're honest with yourself and that, that you're loving, respecting, and you're making people honor and respect this great nation that we are sharing. A lot of people, even my own people, call me racist as soon as I say that I'm in pro-immigration, pro-legal immigration. I am not anti-immigration. I am pro-legal immigration, which is different. I know that there's a lot of maybe friends and family that come here illegally or people that I may know that they should know at some point you will be deported. So plan accordingly, and hopefully you made the best that you could while you were in this country. I think poverty is not a reason to seek for asylum. I think poverty is up here. I can tell you, I have been in this country for many decades, and I love this country. Don't get me wrong, guys. I love this country. I think it's beautiful. The nature, the cities, I think all that stuff is beautiful. We have some issues like homeless, drugs, and mental disabilities everywhere, especially in downtown Seattle, apparently. But I have gone back to Honduras quite a few times. And the houses, especially maybe 10, 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, the houses didn't seem that different to me. Small, old, dirt, dust everywhere, etc. And even though I was so used to the comfort of the United States in the apartments that now I look at them and they're just like, that's not a big deal, what's the difference? They have carpet, that's it. But I will go to Honduras, and I have not lost my accent. I speak like a Honduran speaks. And, I just love seeing my people and I love being in their homes. I'll tell you a couple of stories. I remember one of my neighbors, her name is Doña Melida, which means Mrs. Melida. And I I love this lady. She was like a second mother to me. My mother and my father, her and her husband, moved into the same area at the same time, and they both built their houses together at the same time. And so there's more story in there, but you know, her kids, we grew up as brothers. And so technically I have like 10, 11 brothers, 11 to 12. But I loved her so much. I loved her so much. She got sick with diabetes, and so she really decayed fast. Her health was not that good. But I remember one time I went back, and even though her husband made money, unfortunately, he had other women on the side and well, kind of neglected her. Now, I love him. He's passed already, but I loved him as well because as a kid, I didn't know that, and he was a good guy to me. So I can't judge people for what they do. All I can do is love them, not accept the sin, but I can love them. And so I love both of them the same, but I felt bad for her. And I did tell him, that he should be better to her. But anyways, going back to my story, I remember I came to her house. Nobody was there. None of her kids were there. And well, I was hungry. It was legit. I was hungry, and I asked her. I said, "Doña Melida, do you have anything to eat?" And I had some cash. I had about $500, which back then was like maybe $20. And and I asked her, I said, "Do you have something to eat?" And she's like, "Oh, I only have this leftover beans, refried beans that were smashed. Oh my God, they're so the best." And she had made them from last night, the previous night. And she says, "And I got these 2 eggs." And I was like, "Well, can I eat them?" And she goes, "Yeah, of course." Now, I didn't know that she hadn't eaten, right? But while I was in the middle of eating the food, she tells me that that's all the food that she had, and she was sorry. She hadn't eaten all day, but she wanted to feed me. And I said, "Oh, thank you so much." I was like, God's gonna bless you. I appreciate it. And I was just like, I ate it in front of her. Now imagine if you were hungry and somebody was eating and making moaning sounds of food gasms that I was having with just these simple 2 eggs and this smashed fried beans from the night before. And I scraped the frying pan and I just ate everything. I even licked my fingers and I was watching her and I know that she was, oh man, that was my last food. And I can tell that she wanted to eat, but I just enjoyed it even more. And so when it was time for me to leave, I said, "Hey, listen, I gotta go. But come here, let me give you a hug." And one of the things that mothers used to do back then, and I'm sure that old school mothers still do this, they always walk around with an apron. And so when I hugged her, I stuck my hand in one of the pockets of her apron and I dropped the $500 in her pocket. And I said, "Thank you so much. The food was great. God bless you. I love you so much." And I hugged her and kissed her and I left. About a block away, I heard her yelling my name. I already know why, because they always put their pockets in their aprons all the time. And so when she yelled my name, I pretended like I didn't hear her and I walked away because I was so happy that I gave her that money and she would have gave it back to me. And that's not going to happen. So another thing is one of my aunties, she was one of the oldest of my mother, one of my older sisters of my mother. And I also, same thing, I got money in my pocket. I'm walking. I'm not even driving. I'm not, I'm just in the bus. I'm walking. And I went to her house and and she offered me some baleadas, which baleadas means it's a handmade flour tortilla with beans, same way, fried beans, smashed fried beans, some egg and some either sour cream, which if you wanted to know the way the sour cream in Honduras tastes, grab a bar of Philadelphia cheese, right? Salted Philadelphia cheese, and maybe some heavy whipped milk. Mix that up. Just whip it and add just a little bit of salt, just a pinch of salt on it, and keep whipping it. That's what the sour cream tastes like. And the more water you add to it, or milk you add to it, the runnier it's gonna be. So you can spread it and put it on top of things. It's a really good thing to do. I love the sour cream. So anyway, I eat it. Oh my gosh, I kid you not. It's not because she was my aunt. The best. Oh my gosh, the flavor of that flour tortilla is exactly how it's supposed to taste. The elasticity is exactly how it's supposed to be. The beans were perfect. The eggs was perfect. The only thing that was not perfect is that there was a small rock in the food. Yes, and one of her hairs was in it. And I took him out and I finished eating and I did the same thing. I said goodbye. I kissed her, hugged her, and put the money in her pocket. Same thing. About a block away, she starts yelling my name. Of course, I ignored her the same way and I kept going. But that's because I wanted to bless them. And it might seem so mean, right, that I would just eat the last bit of their food that they had. And it's crazy because I didn't think about it, but when the prophets would come and visit God's people, right? God's people always knew that they were welcoming a prophet or an angel. Not that I compare to them; I don't compare at all. I'm like this small compared to them, but they always came, you know. And I remember the story of Elijah went to this widow. I think it was a widow and her son, and she gave Elijah, the last bit of her food, her flour, or whatever, oil, whatever she had left. And Elijah just ate all of it and just like, nice. And you know what he did? Obviously, I don't have as much faith as those prophets back then because of all the sin that we have in this world. I still believe in God. I still believe in Jesus Christ, the Son of God, and the Holy Spirit. But Elijah prayed, and the food just kept, just keep coming and multiplying. And I mean, she had food for I don't know how long, but that was a blessing from God. And I just never put it that way, but that's exactly what I was doing, except, of course, I was giving them money so they can buy more food. But that is what the Holy Spirit does on somebody that trusts in God. And I have some very, very uh, beautiful stories that I have dealt with my spiritual life and experiences with God. And I should be ashamed because I have not been, in the same path as I was. Um, Sometimes I don't think I should be because I still have my faith. I just don't believe or trust other people. I have a hard time going to church because I don't believe that a church should have members that continually, like they never repent. They continually do the same things and they get more perverted, and they are accepting this in the church. And well, when you have that in there, the Holy Spirit doesn't want to be in there. So I have an issue with that. And so hopefully God will enlighten me here pretty soon and we can do something with it. But, I tell you all of this because the poverty in Honduras is real. The people are struggling, of course, it's real. But there's also a lot of people that find a way to make business and they come to the United States and they're using money. They're buying dollars. Right now, the coin is $25 per dollar. And we call it lempira. As I mentioned in one of my videos, the lempira is the name of the coin because of a heroic Indian. And it's part of our history, our native history. But, there's people in Honduras that live very well, but they're hard workers. They're not lazy. And unfortunately, the laziness doesn't just happen because of work. The laziness happens in education. They want to drop out of school and then they wonder why they're broke. They wonder why they can't come up. And I have seen many people be successful in Honduras. And so anybody that comes from Honduras illegally into this country, listen, I'm not going to stop you, but I'm going to tell you, you shouldn't come here illegally. You're going to pay the price. You're either something's going to happen to you on the way here or on the way back. Right now, President Trump has an incentive, is giving people free flights back to their country, is giving them some money so that they can get started on something. And I think that's great. No president has ever done that. And I know that, some of you, if not most, have gone to jail for some time. And I just heard today of one that has, and he is the nephew of one of my favorite growing up brothers, my oldest growing up brother. And I'll probably make a video when I'm in Honduras about it. But I'm planning on going down there hopefully this summer for my birthday in the next maybe 3 weeks. We'll see what happens. But if God allows, I'll make the trip. But, he's mad at Trump because, of course, he got deported and his wife is about to give birth here in a few weeks. Once she has the baby, then she's going to move to Honduras with him. She's actually from Nicaragua, but she's going to move down there with him. And I know some family members don't like my videos and of course my commentaries because I am pro America. I am pro legal immigration. I am pro abiding by the law. I am pro Donald Trump, which is our president, which is I'm proud of saying that he's my president. I'm not saying he's perfect, guys. Nobody is perfect. But if there's one thing that I know is that God has given me the Holy Spirit. And I would like to think that I have learned to discern people. I can tell when somebody is evil and when somebody means well. And while I don't walk around judging people, the Bible does tell us that we are to judge everyone, but we have to judge righteously. Meaning that if you're stealing, you're a thief. If you're lying, you're a liar. That's judging you by the actions that you show, by your fruits that you produce is what we're going to judge you on. And so, of course, you can judge me for all my past history, and eventually you will know my past history. I'm not perfect. I made a lot of mistakes, and I have paid the price for a few decades. And the truth is that I wish that I can go back to Honduras and live there. I wish that I had the street smarts. I wish that I grew up there, and who knows, whether I live or die, it doesn't matter. If that's God's will, then that's what I accept. But here I am in the United States, and I'm talking to you guys here in the United States as an American, as a Honduran American. This is my Honduras flag back here, and I am proud of Honduras and the United States. Now, just like I love the beautiful people of China, I don't like the government. Just like I love the beautiful people of Russia, I don't like the government. Just like I love the beautiful people of Ukraine, I don't like the government, etc., etc. There is beautiful people everywhere in the world. I will tell you that I have seen the most beautiful African people in villages, not in the cities, in villages where their survival is number one. And just beautiful people, non-violent. I mean, they can be, obviously, right? But everybody can be violent. But they're beautiful people that, oh my gosh, they make me look like a bad person. That's how good they are. And I really see people that way. The other thing is that all these entitlement, all this, oh, it's my human right to be in the United States. No, it's not. It's not. It's not. If you have come to this country and you hate America, you shouldn't have come. Go back to where you came from. If you respect it and you honor it and you really, really want to be here, ask for asylum or ask for entry to where you can actually come here legally. And if they don't allow you to come here legally, then stay in your country. That means that you're respecting this country. And if it happens that they allow you to come here, well, that's God's will. But you cannot do your will expecting to be respected and to be appreciated if you don't respect the law, if you don't respect the people and honor the people of the United States of America. The other thing is, I just want to say, if you get to listen to this video or watch this video and you know somebody that might be illegal, the advice should always be, if you are here, just know there's a few things that can happen. One, you will get deported. And that's a must. That will be 100% for sure that you are going to get deported. But there's a 50-50 chance that you might get papers. Now, what happens if you get papers? Well, number one, I don't know how you get to work or how without papers, you can't work. So if you're committing fraud, man, that's a tough one. I don't recommend it, but if you do get married here and if you do have papers, hey, by all means, you want to make a family? Make a family. At least you know that you're not going to get deported. But until you have that security, stop making children. Anchor babies will not forever be accepted for you to stay in this country. I said this before in one of my videos. When I became an American citizen of this country, every child that I would have made anywhere in the world, pending a paternity test, automatically become American citizens because That's my citizenship. That's where it belongs. And so if you're illegal and you make kids over here, even though they're born here, like I just said, any child that I make anywhere in the world, because I am the father and my nationality is American, they are automatically citizens of this country pending a paternity test. So if you make anchor babies here in America and you're here illegally, they are not American. That's just common sense to me. They're not American. They are from whatever country you're from. Now, if your wife, not girlfriend, if your wife is legal in this country, then that's another story. Because obviously you can get papers, because of your marriage, but of course you have to prove that is legit. And so, other advice that I would give, if you are in this country has so much corruption, so many anti-patriotic Americans that are so entitled. They shouldn't even be here, but what can you do? They were born here, they're born from legal parents, and so they have the right to be here. We don't want them, but there it is. Okay? So, what my advice to you is, knowing all that, don't do crime, don't beat your wife. Be a role model. Be a good citizen material. Be a good person. And you know what that's going to do? It's going to be this country is going to be so proud to have you as another Latino American in this country. And you're not only going to make your family proud and you're going to have a good legacy for your children, but the country of birth will also be proud of you because you respected the law. And of course, you'll never stop loving your country. But while you are here in America, the American flag is what you're going to be waving. And that's what you should wave. You can still honor your birthland flag. I love Honduras. And if God allows me or tells me to go down there and live there, so gladly will move to Honduras. I know their hardships. I know how hot it gets. I know shortness of electricity. And I know all the hardships of getting a good job, running a business. All that stuff is hard, but if God was to tell me to go to Honduras, and my wife, of course, she's from Samoa, so I don't really want to force her to move to Honduras. If anything, I will probably move to Samoa someday. I've been wanting to do that, but it's never happened. I tried, and a few people, they kind of let me down, but I just need to be prepared to be able to do everything on my own. And so, that's my story about how I came to the United States, where I stand as an American citizen. I am actually a Honduran American. My children that I have made here, they are American. They're not Honduran. They're not black. They're not Samoan. They are Honduran. I mean, they're American. I'm Honduran American. But my children are American. And as far as I know, I have always taught them to respect this land, to honor it, and be good patriots. I want them to grow up being adults with the mentality that God loves them and that they are to be an example, role models, if not the best citizens that they can be in this country, because that will make me proud. For eternity, they will have that from me. And I feel very special. So that's what I teach my kids. If they want to honor my ethnicity and the nationality that, where I come from, of course, that's also special. But not necessary. I want them to just look after the United States. And any immigrant that comes into this country should have the same mentality. So to all my Latino American, and I say Latino American because I'm from Honduras, but you could be Mexican, you could be from Guatemala, you can be from Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Venezuela. That's what I mean by Latino American. Some people don't like when us Hispanics pronounce certain names and of places and people in Spanish. That's my language. That's my primary language, and I'm sure that you can understand if I say I'm from Honduras or Honduras, it'll mean the same thing. So don't try to get too caught up in the pronunciation. I am proud to be Honduran American. I respect you and I honor you and I wish you all the best, but I will also like that respect back. And that's how it works. So if I say Honduras or Honduras, Please respect that, okay? That's part of my culture. That's part of where I am. And so that way we have no prejudice amongst each other. I know some people really hate it when Latin people do that, right? They use Spanish names and all that stuff, but come on, let's not be too picky. A lot of you, let's be honest, a lot of you mofos don't even speak English right. Your grammar is horrible. It's worse than mine. So let's not talk about how some Spanish people say things in Spanish. I say this because I watched somebody do this. What's his name? The Officer Tatum. He'll probably never watch this video, but the Officer Tatum, I like watching him. He's pretty cool. But his English is not correct. His grammar is horrible. And so for him to make that comment, I think, don't do that with me, bro. Uh, but with that being said, you have foreign exchange students that get a privilege to come here. And it's the same way, if you ask the United States for permission to come here to visit or maybe work or whatever, you got to respect the laws. You got to respect the people. And again, honor the people, honor this country, because then you'll be respected and you'll be honored back. These foreign exchange students, unfortunately, come from really bad countries that are actually our enemy countries. And they come here, some get a green card, some become citizens. And instead of being a citizen, as if I've been explaining this whole podcast with you guys, instead of becoming a great citizen of America, they become a great enemy to America because they enjoy all the freedoms and all the rights that an American citizen has, even benefits. And they use that. Some of them get into government, like Ilhan Omar, the lady, the congresswoman from Somalia that married her brother to come here. Come on, man. I mean, look, it's serious. You got to come and honor and respect this country. I don't care if you're Latino, which is my people, or if you're from Somalia, or if you're from anywhere in Africa, China, Japan, Korea. You got to come to this country. You got to respect it and honor it. And if you don't love it, don't become a citizen. Keep that crap over there in your country, you ungrateful bastards. Come over here and be thankful that you have an opportunity. Respect the American people and stop protesting things that we have no control over. I hate that when they do that. And now we have a lot of stupid Americans here, the youth, and maybe they're not even American. They just look like they're American, but they side with them and they don't even know why. Like, so easy to control. We had a guy in New York just killed 2 innocent Jews. He's Mexican descent. And he says, free Palestine. What the hell does he know about Palestine? He don't even know jack squat about Mexico. It's sad, guys. I say revoke all foreign visas for student exchange for now. And this should be a ban. Because if these people come here to this country to provoke violence and unrest, they shouldn't be allowed. They don't deserve to be here in the first place, and they should not be allowed. So for any of you Democrats or any of you guys that think that you have sympathy for these people and that you're showing love by allowing them to do all this violence, you're just making the problem worse. Just like we have here in Seattle, Washington, the LGBTQ community and all these mental ill people, they keep getting approved by our government and they think it's okay. And what I've seen in the last 30 years here in America, it's getting worse and worse. The more they accept it, the more they get, man, it's just horrible. I am stuck between old school and the new school. And so I can see the difference. And I can tell you, if I was to, let's say I found a way to go back to Honduras and somehow I denounce America and they accept me back and I can run for president in Honduras, I will love the relationship with the United States. Right now, there's some good business opportunities that I feel that the people in Honduras will benefit so much if we were able to invest. 10% tariffs is fair enough. We're used to paying taxes. So 10% tariffs, I think it's a good thing. And we cannot be getting mad when we ask the United States for help or to allow us to do something and they say no. If you're an American citizen and you get that, of course. But if you're not even a resident, if you don't even have a visa to be here, don't get mad when they say no. If I tell you, hey, listen, I want to live in your house, and you say, oh, hell no, I got my family there. No, I can only afford to make this much, blah, blah, blah. Hey, don't worry. I'm going to work. I'm going to make some money, and then I'm going to help you with those bills. And you can still say, hell no. Am I supposed to get mad at you and move in anyway? Of course not. And that's a very small example, but that small example gets big, becomes a big example. Just like friendship. Friendship can become marriage between a woman and a man. And then that marriage can also be a business. And you have to respect the owners and the employees and the government. So everything, the same model can be followed. And that means respect, conversation or communication, and honor and love. And they all are different levels, but that's how you're supposed to carry on in this life. Have relationships. Sometimes are romantic, sometimes are just friendships, but relationships are the same, just a different kind of level of love and commitment. With that being said, I hope that this shines a light in your mind. I love all my Hispanic family, friends, and I love my Mexican people. I love Guatemalan people. They are truly beautiful people. But I hope that you understand that by allowing any illegal immigrant to stay here or come here, many are criminals. And if you think that it's okay to bring criminals here because you want to live here, I think that should be the first example that you're wrong. Okay? So with that being said, if you've been watching this long, thank you so much. Till next time, you'll be blessed.